Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between Naama and lalush here on Lost Temple. Here we have Naama spawning as the blue Terran player at the 12 o'clock position. Meanwhile, we have lalush spawning over here as the red Zerg. So this is going to be Zerg versus Terran here on Lost Temple, and it is going to be somewhat of a far spawn just because they are not going to be what I call an ally spawn. Mutalist play or any sort of Banshee play may be able to be very effective just because these two bases are really close in terms of flying distances. Both of these Xel'Naga watchtowers should be very important as well, as these Xel'Naga watchtowers are an early indicator if your opponent is trying to do any sort of land aggression. Now, lalush may try to do some sort of fast expansion over here using a 16 hatchery, or he may try to delay it. However, on Lost Temple, the Terran player has a lot of advantages on this high ground over here. So if the Terran player tries to do any sort of sieging with one medevac, one siege tank, 3 marines, and 1 bunker, that would be very effective as to trying to stop that. We do see the Overlord. The Overlord was able to spot this one command center here, and now Naama going for an early refinery. So this is going to be a refinery before a barracks, and now refinery before barracks generally means a faster tech trying to store up a large cache of gas and then going into some sort of Reaper play. So Reaper play may be coming in, or we may just have a standard factory. We do see a drone now coming in as well, so lalush trying to hide the fact that he is going for, I believe, a fast hatchery. So it is going to be a fast hatchery down over here, and now sending out a drone to make it look like that there is one, it was able to, barely able to avoid that one Overlord there. So yeah, very nicely done. So now in comes this drone now gonna come over in to start harassing this one SCV, and this Overlord gonna park itself right into this position. It will take quite some time for Naama to exactly figure out that it is gonna be a relatively close flying spawn on this location, as this drone now just running around. Naama unable to see this Overlord and unable to spot this Overlord either. This SCV will be coming in, will be able to find out this location, will not see it, and then by the time it gets over here, I believe this hatchery will be done. And now this drone continuing to just do a lot of harassment inside this base, and I'm a little curious. It's going to be an early factory. So the reason why he got this refinery up was refinery and then barracks into a factory, so that factory will be able to start producing Hellions in just a moment. SCV probably realized that he got tricked over here, and now we have an extractor being placed down. So Naama not finally upgrading to an orbital command. I do not see any sort of supply depot being thrown down just quite yet, as he is supply locked. One marine trying to take down this extractor. lalush would be able to build this extractor and cancel it a number of times, as there's only one marine, and the regeneration on the extractor is actually faster. Yeah, there he goes. I'm just constantly trying to deny that gas over there. It will take quite some time. Back over here, we see lalush with that hatchery, and now running off of one extractor in this base. No metabolic boost just quite yet, so lalush just going for a very strong economic game. If you look at the harvester count and the amount of minerals, mining at 560, and now that he has this particular location down over here, will be able to mine from 16 mineral patches as opposed to just 8. One SCV may get taken down as it tries to jet back home. Will he be able to make it? There is a front door here, and the supply depot has already been lowered. One Hellion already in play, wants to be able to do a little bit of a swap here on that factory. Will that Hellion be able to splash a lot of that damage, quickly getting one of those Zerglings? 2 of those Zerglings are ready, and now trying to move back out. That last Zergling will get torched, and now as this Hellion moves out to try to chase down these last 3 Zerglings, that's going to be a very bad day indeed for those Zerglings. So Zerglings being microed around, making sure that they do not share that much splash damage. One Zergling over here down to 1 hit point, able to regenerate that hit point, and will it be able to take it down? There it goes, down goes that last one. And now where is that other Zergling that we saw earlier? Has it returned home? Not quite sure. We do see some roaches now being trained up as well. I don't see that many queens. So there's only 1 queen currently in play. There is no queen down over here. A queen now finally being trained. There's one Hellion trying to deal damage towards those Zerglings. Will be able to get some more splash damage. 2 new Zerglings popping out just at the right time. But however, now 2 Hellions coming back in to join in on this fight. And now these Zerglings will be forced to pull back. These Zerglings now trying to run in, and now in comes some roaches. So those roaches with that range of 3, a much stronger counter, as those Hellions only able to deal 8 damage, 7 damage after armor, and that's a very slow attack at 2.5. So Hellions deal less damage than a roach, and also and fire a little bit more slowly. They do have a range of 5 compared to a range of 6, enabling these roaches to be kited. However, as soon as those roaches get that burrow ability will allow them to regenerate those hit points fairly quickly. So you can see a rapid regeneration, able to regenerate hit points very quickly while burrowed. So those Hellions now moving onto this high ground over here, and those roaches with only a movement speed of 2.25, since they do not have any additional upgrades, down goes an SCV, so this expansion will be delayed for quite a while. And now what's going to be happening? More Hellions need to be trained, something needs to be happening, and now a Banshee is going to be coming into play. So that Banshee will be able to deal a lot of damage towards those roaches. Roaches have a very difficult time with flying units, obviously, as they're unable to hit that. That one Banshee going to start dealing damage towards this roach, and that roach will quickly get taken down, already down to 4 hit points, as SCVs are repairing this over here. So this Banshee not engaging just quite yet, as a Viking now coming out to join in on the fight. So a Viking and a Banshee will be moving out. We do have one Overlord here, very low on hit points. One Overlord here, able to see that this expansion is nearing completion. 3 Hellions on this low ground, and this Viking coming in from Naama already realizing, or probably sees that there is this Overlord not in fighting it for some reason. There we go. Finally starting to attack that, so that one scouting Overlord will get taken down as SCVs are now saturating this mineral line over here. Taking a look at the harvester count, we have 38 harvesters for lalush. Meanwhile, Naama sitting at 700. However, that number will go up significantly as this mule from this command center or orbital command will be able to be called down in just a moment. We have, 3 Hellions over here, 1 Queen. We do also have Hydralisk with a range of 5 unless it gets those groove spines. And now these roaches are trying to push back against these Hellions. However, that Banshee able to deal a lot of damage and trying to push back these units over here. So we do see 1 Spinecrawler. Will that Spinecrawler come up just in time? Yes. Roaches and Queen trying to hold off this position. 2 additional Queens coming in to join in on this fight. Army wise, we see 650 versus 375. However, those Queens are not included in this calculation, and in comes that Banshee taking a lot of damage from those Queens. 1 Roach down to 24 hit points. We do not see any burrow research just quite yet, but these Queens should be able to do some transfusions to save that 1 low hit point Roach. Back over here, we now see an Overseer doing a good job contaminating this one building over here. So the second Raven will not be able to be trained. However, a Viking now going to be going after this. The Overseer movement speed 1.88 does not have the movement upgrade, and that is a horrible loss for the Zerg player. The Zerg player losing an additional 100 gas there. There is 1 Banshee now moving around. At least they were able to delay that Raven though. So the second Raven has been delayed for, I believe, 30 units a time. Back over here, we do see roaches continuing to be masked up, and now we also are getting the groove spine. So it looks like it's going to be mass Hydralisk with Infestors. Infestors with Hydralisk, a very strong combination with that fungal growth. And making it so that those units cannot move around. And now in come that Viking. That Viking may get shot down by 2 Queens. That Viking down to 44 hit points, but barely able to move back away as these creep tumors are finally being spread out across the map. This 1 Hellion over here needs to pull out of there as those roaches are now scampering about. We are getting the level 1 missile attack and more Hydralisk, and I do believe we have a couple Infestors already. So yeah, 1 Infestor, now also that fungal growth, trying to get as much energy onto them. So 3 Infestors, a couple Hydralisk, as these Queens now laying down these creep tumors. Very nice, as Hydralisk increased their movement speed by over 50%. However, Roach is now engaging over here. Hydralisk, no Infernal Pre-Igniter research. There is 1 Banshee. That Banshee is just going to get shot down out of the sky very quickly as it continues to push. Are we going to get a fungal growth? No fungal growth just quite yet. 1 Banshee now taking down. As this fight continues, we do have 1 Raven trying to drop some point defense drones. However, those Hydralisks are able to attack very, very quickly and now able to deal damage. The army of Naama being forced to pull back from this engagement there. Even there was a point defense drone in the air, and really the Hydralisk with that very fast attack speed able to deplete the energy on that very quickly. We do see that there are some Hydralisks over here now going to try to move in, quickly take down that 1 Marine, as now roaches are moving out to put some pressure. I do not see any siege tanks yet. We do have siege tank and siege tech over here, but I do not believe it will be completed in time as this army now moves in. There are these units on this high ground as well. Fungal growth, very nice, getting a tightly packed group of their units, but no burrow. So those Infestors are very, very vulnerable here. We finally get a siege tank moving in on this fight, and this army of Naama getting taken down very quickly. However, trying to use that high ground advantage, and now more roaches coming in as well. We do see an Overseer now, so that Overseer able to shoot onto that high ground. And now this is going to be a problem. Naama being forced to pull back over here. We do see some Marauders and Siege Tanks trying to fight over here. SCVs joining in on this fight. Overseer taking some damage as well. Hydralisk trying to push back, trying to deal more damage. Another auto turret on the ground as these Hydralisks are now being pushed back into that corner. However, this whole entire attack force will get destroyed. However, more Hydralisks coming in to try to join in on this fight. Marauder's not a strong counter to this, as these Hydralisks are going to be able to just use those needle spines and deal a lot of damage. These Hydralisks are upgraded with 1-0 upgrades and also have that additional +1 range on attack. So this one medevac trying to heal up all of these units. SCV is coming back in over here, and it looks like lalush is trying to regroup. Also taking an expansion down over here as more and more of these creep tumors are being laid out. As it gets laid down, all of these Hydralisks will be able to join in on this fight much more quickly. However, a siege tank in siege mode in a very, very strong position, able to just completely cover this front door here. And now lalush will be forced to pull back, regrouping his units, and perhaps trying to train up or change up that strategy. This is part of patch 1.1, so these Hydralisks will only be taking 35 damage from the siege tank instead of that full 50 damage from patch 1.03. How is this all going to work out army-wise? 1600 versus 1300. Perhaps some sort of Nidus Worm would be able to be effective. However, I'm not sure if any Nidus Worm would be able to be, hidden into the space. There is one sensor tower already, so with a sensor tower already in play, it is very difficult. However, in comes a drop, so we have a Marine Marauder drop now into the back of that base. Spore Crawler trying to take down that medevac, unable to, and now all of the drones were being forced to pull back. These Marines not getting too many kills at all. Hydralisk now coming in to perhaps try to shoot down that medevac, leaving one poor Marine behind. And yeah, that Marine trying to escape will not be able to. Down it goes now, and yeah, shot down there. So one medevac play, unable to really deal that much economic damage into lalush, as now we are going into tier 3. So tier 3 underway. We may get some Ultralisks, we may get some Broodlords. I have not seen Ultralisks used since the new patch change. So I am curious as to see how effective they are, especially against Marauders now. Marines quickly shooting that Overlord now out of the sky. Ravens also moving once again, perhaps to see if there's any sort of expansions. These Ravens are able to drop those auto turrets. Those auto turrets deal a significant amount of damage and may be actually able to take down this expansion over here and at least deal damage towards this Queen. We do see what Marines now shooting down this Overlord here. Excuse me. Marine shooting on this Overlord and a Marauder. I'm scampering about army-wise. Both sides very small. It looks like Naama is just sticking within his base, not being very aggressive. We do see this is all coming off of, what is this, 5 racks now. So 5 racks play, 2 of them or 3 of them with reactors. Probably going to be a reactor or a tech lab here in just a moment. And now in come these auto turrets. So mass auto turrets into this position here. And these auto turrets effectively fire faster than a Marine. And they also deal a little bit more damage than the Marine, so that is going to be fairly deal a lot of damage over here. This hatchery down to 721 hit points already. Is this Queen going to get shot down? Yeah, that Queen will get shot down there, as these point defense drone, these Ravens are trying to escape. However, one Raven able to get off a fungal growth, and down goes one of those Ravens here. One Raven able to escape there, as now we have a group of Marines, Marauders, and siege tanks finally moving out. Perhaps a transition into a Spire would be great. However, it looks like we are going to go into Ultralisk caverns. So an Ultralisk strategy coming in for lalush. Lalush needs to get some additional Overlords. Stay tuned for part 2 of this replay between lalush and Naama here on Lost Temple.